Wow, that was tough. Okay. Well, I'm really honored to be here to help present the Majestic Award to Tony Scott. Tony was born in England to a military family. Tony and his two brothers were introduced to the love of film by their mother, Elizabeth, a love which produced two of the most prolific directors of our time. Tony also attended Leeds College and the Royal College of Art. He was a very talented painter, and his visual specificity and originality informed all of his work. He directed and produced countless cutting-edge commercials, and with his business partner and brother Ridley, Tony went on to produce 50 television and film projects, among them The Good Wife and Numbers. But most of all, Tony's recognized for his directorial contributions to cinema. Some of the films that Tony directed were Beverly Hills Cop 2, Revenge, The Last Boy Scout, Days of Thunder, Top Gun, Crimson Tide, The Fan, Enemy of the State, Spy Game, Man on Fire, one of my favorite vampire films of all time, the sexy, terrifying, and elegant movie, The Hunger, and the project that changed my life, True Romance. To be an actor who had the good fortune to work with Tony, I could say easily that Tony is beloved and revered by all those he directed. He was the captain of the ship, a master of the technical, but he also loved the collaboration. Tony taught me to trust my instincts. As a young woman, this was not something that the world had taught me to do, but like a good father, no, like a great father, every idea I had was met with support. Tony not only gave me one of my greatest parts of my career, he taught me by example to be brave, because Tony Scott was nothing if not brave. He was brave enough to marry a woman who was so beautiful, he would pull me aside and stare at her and say, "Look at her, she's like a honeybee." He was brave enough to admit that he was afraid to be late for dinner because his southern bride, Donna, had a shotgun and she knew how to use it. They were both brave and equally fearless, climbing El Capitan together, scuba diving with their 3-year-old twins, Max and Frank, in Fiji, fighting to make projects ahead of their time. Tony had a love of life that was fierce and irrefutable, but equally had a love of his family, his nephew Jake, his niece Cuba, his brothers Ridley and Frank, his mother Elizabeth, all of the actors and crew who were loved by Tony and were part of his family. But most of all, he loved Donna and his beautiful boys, Max and Frank. I think for all of us, our children are our greatest contribution. And with this, I feel, with these two boys, the best of the Tony Scott legacy is yet to come. So, let's put on our pink baseball hats, our shorts, our cigars, and let's raise a toast to the brave and genius and dangerous Tony Scott. There's never been another like you, and there never will be.
One thing he wouldn't want us to do is feel bad for him. He'd want us to probably celebrate. So, although this is a crystal trophy that represents the career and the tribute that we want to give him, by no means is it in any way a memoriam, as more of a celebration of his career. So, if you'd like to give this to Donna. Sure. Donna, if you could join us on stage, please. We'd love to, in the honor of your husband, present you this award.
Tony Scott,
2013 Majestic Award. It says for a magical career with defining cinematic beauty.
The funny thing is about Tony is he would have never been able to come and receive this honor because he would be like, you know, I don't do it for the credit. I do it for the love and the passion. And that's who Tony was. And seeing that film is really hard for me. I was blessed to be cast in a Tony Scott movie called Days of Thunder in 1989, and I'll never forget that I left Los Angeles back to my hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina on December 11th, 1989, to go and make a big Hollywood picture with Tony Scott, Don Simpson, Jerry Bruckheimer, Tom Cruise, Robert Duvall, I mean, the list goes on. And I was so young, 24, and clueless. I had no idea the fountain of wealth and life experience that I had been thrown into. It actually set me for the rest of my life. My entire adult life I spent with Tony. And it was consistently the most outrageous, wildest ride that a person could ever go on. And he threatened not to go out with me when we got back to Los Angeles unless I promised to jump out of an airplane. And so I'm like, well, okay, because Tom Cruise, he tricked him into jumping out of an airplane on the 100th day of shooting. And Tony was, I found out later, scared shitless, and really wanted to see if I was worthy of him spending time with. So I not only jumped out of the plane when he told me to, completely hungover. 3 days later, I was back in North Carolina with my family and jumped again along with everybody I could round up there. I think that's when Tony realized he maybe found his soulmate, and that would be me. Yes, I'm afraid of heights, and I learned how to rock climb with my husband and climb 2,000-foot walls. Our sons started rock climbing when they were 3. They started scuba diving when they were 3. Everything that Tony could put in front of us as a family challenge was the same thing that he took to work every single day in making films. It was what he did with his crew. It was what he did with his actors. His excitement, his reason for getting up every day at 4 o'clock in the morning, because he got up at 4 o'clock every day on the day of shooting. He did his own storyboards. I know that Tony dressed every single person on any set of his movie, from extras all the way up to his stars. He was in the fittings, he chose the costumes, he chose the makeup, he did tear sheets of magazines, he met with the hair and makeup people. There was not one single stone of anything that Tony Scott ever touched that wasn't his decision. He was the leader of 200 to 350 people on everything that he did. He got the movie Top Gun by going down the Grand Canyon with Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer on a river rafting trip. And they were talking about this movie, and Tony said, give me a chance, give me a chance. And he'd only made this movie called The Hunger and some commercials. And they were like, yeah, whatever, poo-poo, you're the artsy guy. And so then Tony said, okay, if I swim this rapid lava falls and live, will you give me the movie? And that was pretty much, it was like, and it was a death trap. And they're like, yeah, do it. So Tony put on 2 life jackets and a helmet and jumped over the side of the boat. And he survived lava falls and got Top Gun. He's not only crazy like that, he was an outrageous, unbelievable innovator. Whatever he imagined, he could create, because Tony never took no for an answer from anyone, and they would say, but Tony, that's impossible. We're like, no, but look at it like this. So that's why with Top Gun, Tony was the first person to mount the cameras in the way that they were mounted on the jets, for him to get the shots that he wanted when he was making that movie. Tony was the first person to mount the cameras on the cars in NASCAR that they use today in all the races, and he catapulted the enlistment of the military for Top Gun, and NASCAR is all over the map now, and I gotta say, I think a little bit of that credit is due to Tony. He was really, he had a foresight, and he had a passion, and he had a drive for everything that he did. Live on, and Max and Frank, our children, they already, it's DNA. You know, everybody in the Scott family, other than myself, are directors and filmmakers and really talented. But I just want to say, I'm so blessed that I had 23 years with a man that made me completely nuts, that I learned how to navigate with love and understanding, and someone that taught me, you know, be kind. We believe in being kind to everyone, that there's no difference in any human being, and Tony treated everyone the same, and that was with love and compassion and care and generosity and kindness. He was generous to a fault. And the thing is, when you look at the footage of Tony, you can look at his smile, and you know that's the truth. And that's what breaks my heart the most, is I don't get to see his smile anymore. You know, I want to look at my notes here. There's not a day that began or ended without Tony thinking of making a movie or a commercial. It's what got him up. It's what got him going. It's what made him tireless. And I'm 21 years younger than him, and it was a bitch to keep up. His heart beat in fear and anticipation of doing something he'd never done before in everything that he touched. And, I think I said, Tony's goal in everything that he did was to take you as an audience member and put you on the edge of your seat with your ass just squeezing, with you gripping the rails and you forgetting to breathe. And then when the movie's over, when you finally gasp and go, oh my God, that was an hour and a half and my heart is coming out of my throat. And did I just survive that? I mean, that's how Tony did everything. And that's another thing, too, is Tony never wanted his movies to be more than 90 minutes. He said, if I can hold somebody on the edge of their seat for an hour and a half, I'm happy and I've done my job, and anybody that takes it too long is too long in the truth, and it's real. Tony was definitely the action man. And I'm so proud when there are other directors that look at his work and do the best they can to pull from what he created and make it better, because that's who Tony was. He wanted everybody to be the best they could be. He helped Quentin Tarantino when Quentin was making Reservoir Dogs. They were on the phone together all the time. I remember when Quentin brought the script True Romance to our house, we were having a party in Maryland, and I'm like, who is that geeky, dorky dude? And then next thing I know, Quentin's making Reservoir Dogs and Tony's making True Romance with Patricia. So for Tony to be receiving the Majestic Award, I think it's quite fitting. As I said, he would never be comfortable with this kind of accolade. And had this been presented, or he'd been asked to receive it when he was alive, it would have been a, no, I think I'm going to go rock climbing. But thank you so much on behalf of Tony. Thank you to Patricia. Thank you to the Catalina Conservancy. Thank you for presenting this and the consideration of Tony. And may he always be in our hearts, and may he always be the person who motivates us to be the best that we can ever be. And also to remember, don't ever take the word no for an answer. Look for the person who will tell you yes.